Hey guys, Spartan here, and welcome back to the Noita Tier list 3 of 3. This is going to be the final one, and unfortunately I have a bit of a sniffle today, so will probably be talking a bit. I'll probably be making a few jump cuts to just cut out random junk, but yep, enemy tier list. This is the most full enemy tier list I could find. It was clearly made before Meat Realms existed, and enemies like Tapion Vasali / the floating islands got added to the game. So those aren't going to be here, but yeah, I will be using placeholders for that sort of thing. So, tier list. It's kind of finicky saying what actually deserves to be where in terms of enemies, because yeah, spell, it's like how useful it is. Perks, it's how useful it is. Enemies, not so much the case. So I'm going to be ranking enemies based on how interesting they are in terms of like fighting them, usefulness, if they are useful because certain enemies have certain uses, and just other things like design wise. So we're going to start off with a whole bunch of things in D, that including pretty much all of the innocent creatures because they are completely useless. And I am including the only enemy versions that like spawn in the game, because I'm not including like the spell version of fish, the spell version of ducks, or the spell version of deer, because they are completely different things, and they already got placed on the spell tier list. So yeah, these just don't do anything. They spawn in the world and are kind of useless. The only downside would be Scorpion randomly spawning in Temple of the Art and you accidentally killing it with homing, and yeah, that causes you to gain more kills for spawning Tapion Vasali. Lamprey, a little fish thing that spawns in the lake. C tier, I guess. It just doesn't really do anything. Like, what are you doing fighting this thing? It doesn't even drop any gold, I'm pretty sure. And if it does, like, it's pointless because it's like at the lake. What are you doing at the lake? Nice beat drop there. So, this is Hound, aka Weak Hound. These are the ones that spawn in the mines, and the ones next to it are the ones that spawn in the collapsed mines and the coal pits. So these are the easy ones to kill. Yeah, they're B tier, they're decently interesting enough. They're basically the same thing, except one is stronger, like slightly, has more HP, does more damage. Interesting enough, but yeah. You know what, I will put this one in C because it's just a recolor basically, but stronger, which is kind of lazy design, so yeah. So, Barney Gumble, aka Explosive Hisi. Explosive Hisi is an interesting enemy. He can go in B, he throws explosives, he can damage himself, and quite frequently does kill himself from his own explosives, but yeah. And upgraded Explosive Hisi is the ones that spawn in the coal pits. They are mostly the same. They do have greater stats, but this one actually carries greater resistances to like fire and explosives. I guess the mask actually does it. So, yep. Pretty decently interesting enemies. You can use them to blow up terrain. This is the Molotov Hisi that spawns in the collapsed mines, and sometimes he spawns in other areas, but not really frequently. He throws Molotovs at you. They have like liquid fire in them, and interestingly enough, they're an item you can pick up. So, a bit of a interesting thing you can do with them. Like, it's an easy way to get flasks if none of them spawn in the early worlds. They're not that good of flasks, and they always explode when you throw them for some reason. But yeah, he's a pretty good guy. I'll put him in A tier. This is Christmas Hisi. He only spawns around Christmas time in the real world, so I've actually never found this dude, but I assume he is just another C tier enemy. If you have more opinions on Christmas Hisi, please tell me to redo this list after Christmas time. Cook Hisi. He throws sausages at you. I don't think they can actually damage you or something like that, but it's not really an enemy. He's a chef, but he's a funny little lad, so he can go B tier. This is the grenade throwing gremlin. He's just a D tier, like C tier enemy. He throws these little glitter bombs, and they usually kill himself because they do self-damage and they like trickle down onto him. I don't really remember much about this enemy. Like, if you ask me its stats, its HP or anything, I would draw a blank. So yeah, they're not interesting. Shotgun Hisi, on the other hand, is actually really interesting because it's the only enemy that you can deal extra damage by doing headshots to it. So that's interesting. You can go in A tier, and the recolor that's just stronger can go in B tier. Like, this is the weak one, this is the strong one. You can tell the weak ones because they're, like, dulled and grey, just like the slime enemies over here. But yeah, interesting enemy. He shoots out 1 pixel of, like, plastic after he shoots, which is like the shotgun shell being ejected from his gun. Attention to detail is nice. This is Gunner Hisi. He's about an average enemy. He's really not much of a threat other than, like, stun locking you out of the air, so, kind of just have nothing to say about this dude. The only thing that I can really say about this dude is about this next dude, Grenade Hisi. Grenade Hisi goes in D tier because this guy's just fucking annoying to deal with. Like, he has 25 HP, he spawns at the snowy depths, but his shots do 33 damage, which is ridiculously high for this point of the game, and they spawn a lot of them. The only interesting thing about them is they have a blind spot directly above and below them, so they can't shoot you if you're there. But at the same time, the game just spams these guys, especially since they get spawned by Hisi Leader, which we're going to be talking about later. But yeah, I don't like this dude, like, at all. This is Mine Hisi. This is probably not his actual name, but it's what I call him. And, yeah, he throws mines, and then he has a shotgun as well, which he usually tries to shoot you, or he sometimes shoots the mines to explode them. Actually, a kind of interesting enemy, because he's got 2 attack styles, and alternates, so... he goes in B tier. He's a nice enemy, I just kind of wish he had more going on for him. Yeah, you know what, he's interesting enough to put in A tier, at least for now. Might move him down later. Next up is, probably a lot of people's favorite enemy in the game. That's Piranha Hisi, aka Hisi Healer. And surprising absolutely no one, he's an S tier enemy. I mean, he's not really an enemy, as in, he is a healer. And he will heal the Hisi, and if you, like, place yourself in between 2 Hisis and damage each of you, like 2 Hisi healers, they will try to heal each other, and you will be healed instead. You can douse one in pheromone, and it will constantly just heal you until you're almost full HP, because, like, most likely the pheromone will wear off. And yeah, Hisi Healer, of course, actually is kind of dangerous, though, still, as if... you know, he likes to follow you, get in your way, he'll sometimes die when you're trying to shoot at other Hisi, and if he picks up a wand, he will shoot it at you, so, yeah, be careful. This is Glue Hisi. Glue Hisi does not really do much, but Glue Hisi goes in A tier merely off the utility factor that he shoots glue at you, and if you do not have Glue Ball in the world, and you have fungal shifted away all the weird fungus in the world, like by just a random fungal shift, he can be your saving grace because you can eat glue to force fungal shift. Like, yeah, glue works for that. It's one of the other few materials that allows you to gain the tripping effect. So yeah, he's a good dude. This is Stealth Hisi. He gives invisibility to whatever he hits. Most of the time, however, you'll see him in the fungal caverns and he'll just, like, find another version of himself and they'll just both shoot each other. But since they're shooting, that makes them so they lose invisibility. So they'll just keep shooting at each other. They're kind of a stupid enemy, really, and they have no way of damaging you, so, yeah. This is Shield Hisi. Shield Hisi just spawns nowhere. I believe he spawns in, like, the power plant and the tower, and that's it. He goes in D tier because he just throws shields on whatever it is he shoots, and that's about it. He's boring as all hell, he can't even hurt you. This is Poison Hisi. He shoots poison projectiles and he poisons you. He's one of the few enemies that can damage you in a god run, but then again, in a god run you can heal yourself easily, so... Yeah, he gets C tier just because he's annoying with the poison. This is, Mine Hisi number 2. This one just shoots mines at you, which means he's instantly less interesting than this little dude. So yeah, he's okay. This is Hisi Leader. He shoots 2 grenades, like this dude, except they both do half damage, but in total, if they both hit, it's about the same. And when he gets hit, he spawns grenade Hisis, specifically grenade ones, not gun ones. He is really fucking annoying, but he's not an F tier, because F tier is going to be reserved for the enemies that I just truly hate. But yeah, he kind of sucks. Alchemisti goes in S tier because he's like an amazingly interesting enemy. He throws potions which damage you. He is not like Piranha Jahisi where he is just completely harmless and you can just leave him alone. Because, yeah, he'll throw oil at you, he'll throw blood, he'll throw water, he'll throw, I don't know, something else like slime that doesn't damage you. But if you grow complacent, he can frag you with like an acid flask or a lava flask which can kill you very easily. But if you're skilled, you can just catch them, and you can fungal shift with them, or do anything interesting like that. So yeah, pretty interesting enemy that is not actually completely harmless. So good job, Alchemisti, you're a fun guy. Sniper Hisi. Sniper Hisi's just kind of boring. He shoots you. It's gonna hurt. Yeah, there's just really not much to say about him. He has a gun. He shoots you from far away. This is Swamp Guy. If you're wondering the order of I'm, like, ranking these off, it's by the bestiary list in the game itself. And yeah, for some reason this guy's just in the middle of the Hisi. Well, actually, I guess it's the tail end, but yeah. He shoots 2 cursed spheres at you, and when they hit, obviously they create a thundercloud above the person that was hit. Kind of interesting, like, Cursed Sphere was always an interesting spell. It was only hindered by the fact that it was hard to find in the early game when it was actually useful. But he's a cool enough dude. He bleeds Swamp, which is actually one of the only enemies in the game that does that, so he can go in B tier. Coward. Coward is an interesting enemy. I'll give him B for being interesting, where he doesn't actually attack you himself. He has a shield, so he's super annoying to kill. But all he does is teleport nearby creatures to wherever he's shooting, which is near you, usually. And if you have 1 stack of more love, he just doesn't shoot you at all, because he's too cowardly. So yeah, good job, Coward. You kind of suck, but you're interesting enough. Next is the Flamer and the Icer. They both go in C tier because they aren't that really interesting. One shoots like fire, flamethrower at you. The other one shoots like ice ball, ice at you. It's not particularly interesting. Like, they exist, they spawn in the vault, and yeah, they're just there. I don't think this is anyone's favorite enemy. Next up is the skeleton, and the skeleton body, and the skeleton head. The skeleton is interesting because it splits into 2 enemies that have their own AI, so the skeleton goes in A. But each individual piece of the skeleton goes in C tier, because alone, they are particularly interesting. The gimmick of this guy is that he turns into these. Plus, the skeleton, if an enemy gets polymorphed into the skeleton and dies, then it turns into the skeleton body and the skeleton head afterwards, which do not transform back. So, skeleton is pretty interesting. Onto the slime ball, guys. This is a Toxic Sleazebag, I believe. Actually, no, that's these ones. I forget what these ones are actually called. I think they're just called slimes. But yeah, slimes, they're kind of boring, really. This is C tier enemies. They shoot toxic sludge and they bleed toxic sludge. It's really all there is to them. Like, they're start of game enemies, yeah, but yeah. So, next up is the acid ones. Acid ones are kind of interesting, though. Acid is an interesting material, because it cuts through the world and you can use these guys to dig if you really need to. Desperate, yes, but they instantly become more interesting. And the greedy ones get points for being the creatures that stop you from climbing the tree early on, or at least spawning when you climb the tree. This is the laser eye. It spawns in the vault, and I think that the only reason people even remember this is because of the funny sprite. So it gets a C tier. It shoots like a single light beam at you, which would be an interesting spell to have on your own, but it's not. So it's just nothing. These are the big, like, toxic sleazebag broodmothers that they bleed acid, and when they die, they explode into acid. And, yeah, if you damage them enough, they spawn, like, 3 of these stronger green dudes, even the weaker ones. They are famous for dropping a lot of gold and causing you to, dive into the acid to pick it up. So they are fun enemies, definitely. So I'm actually going to put them both in A tier. Maybe this one should go in B tier, but it's close enough. These are the little tiny blob monsters that spawn from the big ones on the right. And they kind of suck. I don't like them. They're hard to hit. You know what, they can go in D tier. These ones can go in C tier, because they at least have a cool spawning gimmick. And, they have better animations as well. This one actually bites you, and this one just, like, comes into contact with you. So, yeah. I like the big one decently enough, but it spawns the little one, and that's all that matters, really. Alright, so, like, 2 weeks later, I'm coming back to this because I'm feeling better. I actually just became so badly sick that I just didn't want to continue, because I wanted to be better, but, yeah. I have kind of forgotten the last point that I was trying to make. Regardless, I've done my best to, put the list back in its proper order. So, next up on the list, I guess, is the ant. The ant is kind of interesting because the ant is the only enemy that actually has ant as a faction. Haven't done this for a while, obviously. But yeah, ant is ant. You have nothing else to say about it. It spits acid. It doesn't actually have a means to attack otherwise, like, if you shift acid to something else, the ant can't actually damage you. It's kind of interesting. I'll put it in B tier. It is the rare ant, though. Next on the list, rat. Rats are the best mod in the game with rat attack mod, but this isn't rat attack mod, so unfortunately, it's just a rat. Rat is the enemy of every faction in the game. I'm pretty sure, like, every faction hates rat. So, yeah, everyone hates rats. But I don't exactly. Well, in real life I do, but rats, they're fun little things. They're mostly harmless. They can bite you for some damage, but they'll go in C tier. They don't just really do anything, though. Next up is bat. Little bat. Yeah, it's kind of boring. It doesn't really do anything. It's just like a cannon fodder enemy that dies to most things. It has some decent amount of health, and its lunging attack is pretty interesting, but it's still a C tier enemy. What isn't is Big Bat. Now, Big Bat spawns little bats, and an interesting thing about Big Bat is, unlike the other things that spawn enemies, Big Bat actually gives you gold for the bats that it spews out, so it's an A tier enemy, because with melee immunity, Big Bat can't damage you itself, and the bats can't. So you get infinite gold if you have the patience. If you want to, like, make an auto farm or something, then yeah, Big Bat is your go-to enemy. Next up is Firefly, little one. Little Firefly is C tier. Little Firefly is annoying because it bleeds lava. And lava is really annoying, especially in coal pits where everything can be set on fire, basically. And, yeah, there's really not much else to say about it. It shoots a little firebolt. It spawns from the hives, which, if the nest, like, hives were actually, like, enemies, most of them would be going in F tier. Next is Big Firefly. Big Firefly goes in fucking F tier. This enemy fucking sucks. Like, I have not seen a single person who is interested in these things. What they are is they're fireflies, but they're bigger. They have, like, the same damage, but they have a lot more health, and therefore they bleed a lot more lava and are a lot more annoying. And if you're fighting firefly nests, there's just a chance that it will spawn a bunch of these, and it's really goddamn annoying. I hate these enemies, especially since they spawn so early in the game. Like, coal pits, you're fighting these enemies. by that point, you're lucky if you have, like, an actual one that can deal damage. So yeah, Big Firefly sucks dick. I don't want to see Big Firefly ever again. Next up is the plants. I forget which one, like, their names are, because, quite frankly, I've just been saying what they are to me. But this is the acid plant. It shoots little acid droplets all over the place. It's fine. It is probably one of the lead causes of things being lit on fire in the forest, the underground jungle, because, you know, acid. Being acid leaves flammable gas. Put it in C tier. It's just kind of not incredibly interesting. Next up is the, I don't even know what to call this plant. It's like the bulb plant. This bulb plant is actually going in B tier, though, because, interestingly enough, it is kind of like the gods, aka Steve. I know Steve isn't exactly the gods, but, you know, everyone calls him the gods. It has the long-ranged missile attack that Steve has, and it also has, like, little tiny bolts, which aren't exactly like Steve's, but hey, they work, I guess. They have a little bit of homing on them. And yeah, these plants are kind of interesting. Unfortunately, you find them clipping into the ground more often than not, but yeah. B is ironically in C tier, not B tier, because the bee doesn't really do anything other than, like, melee you. That's it. They can spawn in the fungal caverns from the nests, but nests are sucky enemies, not even on this list. But yeah, they're kind of cool in some ways. Like, if you have melee immunity, they're completely harmless. So yeah, props to melee immunity. Next up we have frogs. Little frog is just a little frog. He does some decent damage. He can actually make you become tripping if you eat its corpse. Like, it adds the weird fungus effect. Unfortunately, it's not enough to actually get high off of, unless you want to, like, abuse Necrobot shenanigans, but yeah, it gets C tier. It's just kind of boring, really. It's just another enemy that just melees you. Big Frog, or Toad, whatever you want to call it. Bit more interesting, because it has, like, a tentacle-ish attack. And they spawn in the collapsed mines, mostly, which I know some people just don't even bother going to, but you probably should if you want to find these guys. They're pretty cool. It is Wednesday, my dudes. No, it's Saturday right now. But yeah. Big Frog also makes you go tripping. Mushroom. I'm gonna put the standard blue mushroom in A tier. Standard blue mushroom is interesting. You can sometimes find them in the mines in a certain set piece. And obviously, their body is weird fungus, which lets you fungal shift. They bleed fungus blood, so if you can get one in a position where it bleeds a lot, then you can fungal shift with that. They are hostile to many things in the world, and they kill themselves while they attack. And their attack is an explosion, so if you have explosion immunity, they can't actually damage you, and they'll just die. Yeah, fun. Big mushrooms. Big mushrooms are kind of the same. I'm putting them in B tier because they're a bit more rare. They leave a bigger explosion, but that's about it. Also, they break when coming into contact with anything that is like an actual object. Like, if you get polymorphed into one of these, and you fly into, say, a lantern, a random lantern in the mines, then you'll blow up and die, because it does that. So yeah, fun mushroom enemies. Next is this blue mushroom. It attacks with pollen. It's nowhere near as interesting as the other ones, and it spawns in Wandmart, which is overgrown caverns. So, there's a good chance that you won't even see these things, because they are kind of rare, other than the overgrown cavern. And in the overgrown cavern, like, a whole bunch of chaos is going on. You don't have time to focus on these enemies. They aren't really that much of a threat, though, so yeah, you can mostly ignore them. This thing. I don't even know what this thing is called. Like, it's just the grey blob. And this goes straight into F tier. This goes into the bottom of F tier. This may very well be the worst enemy in Noita. So what exactly is it? It spawns in the Lucky layer, so already you're going to need like night vision or worm blood to actually see what's going on. It attacks by teleporting into you. Like, it does contact damage of, I believe it's curse type damage. And while it's moving with its teleporty thing, it's just slowly moving through the air. And you can't hit it while it's doing this, so it has invincibility frames. And to top it all off, it bleeds ominous liquid, which is basically poison, except it's more effective than poison, and there is like no way to get rid of it. It sucks. It is fucking awful. I hate this enemy, and I want it to be destroyed. It is one of the reasons why certain people choose to fungal shift ominous liquid out of the world. Like, if you can get it early, which, quite frankly, there are ways to get ominous liquid early in the run, thanks to the Barren Temple, or the... No, it was the Ominous Temple. Oh, obviously Ominous Temple, because there's the ominous liquid. But yeah, this guy sucks. Maggot. Maggot doesn't really do anything. Like, it shoots out a glob of junk and it explodes. Kind of C tier. It's nothing egregious enough to be in D tier, but this doesn't really... It's not really that interesting. It looks kind of cool though, I guess. Skull Dudes. It's just another enemy that melees you. This time it's from the Temple of the Art. Yeah, if you don't have melee immunity or some way to combat melee enemies by Temple of the Art, you kind of deserve to die. So yeah, not very interesting really. They look cool, I guess. You have the big version next. And these guys shoot Path of Dark Flame at you. Path of Dark Flame being one of the coolest named spells in this game. It's pretty interesting, and looks nice, and in conjunction with any of the creep enemies that, like, suck in projectiles, can actually deal a fairly decent amount of damage to you. But if you play well, it's not actually a threat. So, it's a fine enemy. I like it. Little Squid. Little Squid goes in C tier. Little Squid is very annoying. It's not annoying enough to be put in D tier because all you have to do is not get close to it and it can't freeze you. But, you know, if you don't have melee immunity, this guy can ruin your run. Like, even a god run if you get careless. Like, you'll be frozen and then he'll hit you for 50% of your HP, and that's not good. But, it's a fairly interesting enemy. Big one. The big one is actually a lot more interesting. It's not good enough to be an A tier, but it is cool. It is mostly known for its tentacle attack, but it does have a freeze effect like the little one does if you get too close to it. It's basically what the little one should have been, kind of, but the tentacle is actually already dangerous enough on its own. It does like 20 something damage to you. So yeah, cool looking enemy. Next up is the Dude. I don't actually know what this enemy is called, but... Okay, pop quiz time. Where does this enemy spawn? If you guessed the tower, and like only the tower, then you'd be correct. You will not see this thing in like any gameplay, because it spawns in the bottom of the tower, and that's about it. It shoots like little acid balls at you, like tiny ones. And that's all it does. It's going in S tier because it's the Dude, though. Like, how can you hate this little thing? It looks so stupid. It's got 2 legs, no arms, and it looks like a weird-ass creature. But look at him. I just love this little guy. Next up is the icy rock spirit creature. I just call it the smelly egg launcher because I call this the smelly egg. This guy, quite frankly, he's not particularly interesting. He goes in C tier. I will put the smelly eggs as B tier though, even though they aren't really an enemy, even though they do have an enemy log for some reason. I mean, it's a projectile, and these things are called rock spirits. At least the spell version counts as trick kills, and I'm pretty sure the enemy kill counts as trick kills as well, so... If you can lure certain enemies close to the smelly egg launcher, then it can just destroy them. and you gain double gold, so that's rather nice. Spiders. Spider time. Hermes goes in S tier, that's obvious. You have to put Hermes in S tier. Hermes is, like, basically the mascot of the game. They spawn at the mines, and they spawn in the Temple of the Art. They can also spawn in, like, the pyramid. And yeah, they're cool little spidey things. You see one and you think, oh, it's one Hermes, and then it's like 10 stacked on top of each other or something. So, ambush strats. But yeah, Hermes is cool. Hermes is love, Hermes is life. Tiny spider. I'm just gonna lightning round these next 3 spiders. Tiny spider goes in... You know what? Tiny spider goes in D tier. You're not even forced to fight any of them. They only spawn from like the little spider nests, and they only really spawn them if you hit them. They just don't shoot them. Kind of pointless. This is the digging spider. The digging spider goes in C tier because it digs. This one goes in C tier, but like a low C tier because this is the one that doesn't dig. You can tell by the look on their little faces. I don't know what spider has faces, but yeah. This is the faceless spider. This spawns in the Looky layer, and it bleeds worm blood, which is important because Looky layer you can't see anything unless you have night vision. You know what, it can go in B tier. It's fairly interesting. It also has resistances to the things that the toothy spider is resistant to. But yeah. Speaking of the toothy spider goes in D tier for being very annoying and causing my game to crash. Well, almost crash multiple times. Because, like, if you create a super death wand and you decide to fire it at one of these guys, it will, like, linger on this thing. And it will cause the game to lag insanely hardly. Because the toothy spider heals from projectile damage and explosive damage and a whole bunch of different damage types. Basically, you need ice to kill it. Ice is pretty much the only thing that consistently works against this mofo. Also, if you have melee immunity, it does nothing. Also, it digs through terrain. Yeah. Worms. Worms are... I like worms. Little worm goes in C tier. Moderate worm will go in B tier. Big worm actually goes in A tier because it can drop a HP up. Shadow worm goes in C tier because it doesn't actually dig, and hell worm can go in B tier. So little worm and shadow worm don't dig through terrain, so that makes them infinitely less interesting. These ones are just classic worms. They're nice, they dig, they are aggressive to many things, and the big worm dropping a HP up can significantly increase the chances of your run being successful in the long run. Especially if you're like using end of everything to spawn a bunch of these fuckers, and you can like get a heart mage down to where you are, you can pick up like tons of HP ups. So yeah, it's good. This drone, this is like the fly drone. This is the one that spawns in the fungal caverns and other places. It has a little shield around it, and it shoots little tiny bolts at you, and it has like no health. So it is kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's not egregious. You can go in C tier. This is the bulky turret that flies around Hisi base and shoots at you with its little lasers. It's interesting. Kind of. It is just another robot, though. This is the super shielding drone. This thing spawns in the tower, it spawns in the Looky lair, it spawns in a couple places. Power plant. Oh, power plant. I hate the power plant. This thing goes in D tier. It has no benefits of its own. Like, it can't hurt you in any way. All it does is makes enemies that are close to it immune to all damage, and it gives them a shield for some reason when it shoots them. So, like, what's the point if you're gonna make them immune? I don't know. So, power plant robots. Hang on, I need to check something real quick. I'm gonna check my own enemy log to see how many of these I've killed. Reason being, certain ones are very hard to kill. Yeah, I've got 11 kills on the dark blue ones, 6 on the red, 2 on the light blue, and 5 on the green. Reason being, they are power plant enemies, so they're immune to most damage types, like projectile and explosion normally. Like, you need to use electricity, and that's very annoying because there's very few things that actually deal heavy electricity damage. Like, you're gonna fucking carry lightning bolt through your entire run. Guess what? That's mostly explosive damage. You know what? All of you, get an F tier. No one wants to see you, including you, because that's also a power plant robot. Right, after that horrible slew of enemies, we have, this is the healing turret. Healing turret is, I'll put it in B tier. It's like another healer, like Piranha Jahisi, except it's infinitely harder to get it to work for you because it is a physics object. Yes, you can pull it into you with telekinetic kick. It heals very quickly, but it is, since it's a flying enemy that doesn't have like a huge body, it's hard to pheromone it. So it's a bit more difficult to use than Piranha Jahisi. You know what, I'll put it in A tier actually. The telekinetic kick trick is very good if you want to get heals very quickly. Robocop. As much as I hate Robocop, I gotta admit he is kind of a cool enemy. Like, Robocop does... He's mostly there for defense and for knocking you out of the air. So, he's alright. The only egregious issue with Robocop... Oh, I'm yawning. Ugh. The only issue with him is that he spawns in fungal caverns, which is a bit too early to be spawning him. But that's really not his fault. And even then, he's not a guaranteed spawn or anything. Next up is Roberto. I just call him Roberto because he looks like Roberto from Futurama. He's actually like a robot assassin. He stabs you. Melee resistance, or melee immunity kill, I mean, makes him completely harmless, aside from exploding on death. He has a lot of resistances to damage types, as robots do. He is actually kind of cool. I believe it's one of the more aggressive mobs in the game. As in, will attack things in the fungal caverns if they shoot at it very well. This is the Sentinel, I believe it's called. It's a robot enemy that spawns in the jungle, actually, not in other places as much. And Sentry, it's actually rather... Like, it doesn't look like it would be a flying enemy, or one that actually follows you as well as it does. Kind of dangerous. It does holy damage for some reason, which means that it does more damage to you than other enemies. It is very annoying though, but it does spawn in the sky and late enough parts of the game. He's in C tier. If he did anything else, he'd probably be higher. Right, turrets. Turrets are kind of boring, honestly. Like, they're turrets. They shoot you. And they're all kind of like rehashes. You know what? I'll put this one in B tier because it does create brass when it shoots. So that's a bit of an interesting gimmick. But that one shoots missiles, this one shoots lasers and it's rare, and this one shoots left or right. Interestingly enough, also counts as, or at least did count as, 2 enemies for the logbook for the longest time. The left and right pointing versions. Yeah, I don't know why. Monk. Monks are interesting, I guess, because they spawn from the hand statues located in the snowy depths, and you do that and you gain the summon portal spell, which is cool. They got a kind of a good design though, like floating hands, whatnot. Yeah, gotta give them props. Spider Tank. Spider Tank spawns in the vault. It shoots little missiles at you. It's actually really goddamn tanky. It's got kind of a good design, but I'd say the annoying factor of this enemy is definitely against its favor. Next up is Necrobot. Necrobot is a power plant enemy, so it has all those resistances, but Necrobot's utility makes it S tier. So what does Necrobot do? Necrobot, I believe it has an attack, but it doesn't really use it much. Its main gimmick is that any enemies that are killed nearby it will be resurrected after a while, which is... It doesn't sound good for you. But what people do is that they spawn or they teleport a Necrobot into a safe place where it can't actually hurt anything, and then they create another room and they put a Master of Polymorphing in it, which, this guy, the purple one. Because when you eat Master of Polymorphing's corpse, you gain resistance to polymorphing. Well, specifically immunity to it. So, you kill Master of Polymorphing, you eat his corpse, Super Necrobot resurrects a new Master of Polymorphing, and you just repeat this until you have enough polymorph resistance that you will never be polymorphed again. It's kind of ingenious when you think about it. Sure, you could just, like, remove polymorph from the game in some scenarios, but even then, that doesn't save you from things like polymorphing projectiles from Squidward or the like. Next up is Super Necrobot. Super Necrobot is a lot worse because it doesn't revive them in their normal form. It revives them in a useless purple blobs form, F tier. This thing specifically, I don't know why it's at the bottom of the list of, like, the Noita logbook. I organized these things in the order of the Noita logbook itself, and, despite the fact that this thing is only created by Super Necrobot, it's around here. This thing overall is just D tier though, it's kind of boring. I don't even remember what it does because it's only spawned by Super Necrobot. And it spawns in the power plant and doesn't have the power plant resistances for some reason, so... meh. So, Firehead. See this guy, and yeah, he bleeds like gunpowder everywhere, causes little tiny explosions. He's B tier, he's pretty interesting. The ice version spawns in the snowy depths. Goes in C tier. It is kind of interesting. For some reason, like, Freezing Vapor and Wormblood share a fungal shift value, so... like, if you mess around with it, you'll see, like, oh, Wormblood, something changed, and then these guys, like, their projectiles explode into whatever you just turned it into. And this is the Lightning Head, which is kind of the same. You may mistake the Lightning Head for a Frost Head in the Snowy Depths, even though the Lightning Heads are very rare. Yeah, it's just basically a lightning version. Yeah. They got Stendari. Stendari goes in A tier, because he's a very interesting enemy. He is a kind of basic fireball thrower, but he jumps really high, his AI is kind of aggressive. And if you kill him with water, which he does take damage from water, it's as if it was acid to him, you gain double gold, which means that early in the game you can gain 60 gold just from killing one of them. So yeah, shouts to him. This is the bigger version that spawns in the vault. It's just stronger. It is kind of boring though, because by that point of the game you have other means to kill him. The weakness to water doesn't matter as much. And he, come on, he's just a rehash of the other dude. Next up is Old Man Winter, I believe that's what he's called. This guy is rare as hell. I've only got 54 kills on this dude. For comparison, I have... well, actually, my Stendari count is a lot less than that. For some reason, I have 178 kills on Stendari, but like 200 kills on this dude. Probably because accidental kills don't count to your logbook, but... Old Man Winter, he's an ice version of Stendari. Nah, he's not particularly interesting. He's just ice in an ice zone. Next up is Uko. Uko isn't either interesting either. Yes, that's a totally grammatically correct sentence. Look it up, source, dude, trust me. he shoots thunder charges at you, and thunder charge is a very deadly attack. And yeah, it includes both electricity and explosion, so unless you're immune to both of those, he can hurt you a lot, because that's a very deadly spell. Next up is Sur Uko, which is just a big version, and instead of shooting thunder charge, he shoots a thunder charge that leaves a trail of thunder charges. Very, very destructive. Fortunately, he only spawns in the tower or the cloudscape, so you don't have to fight him as much. But yeah, he's kind of cool. Like, this is what an evolution should look like. He doesn't exactly... I mean, he still does resemble him slightly, but the Thunderhead is more thunderous. He's got a big, thick body. What's not to like? And now we reach the mages, the master wizards. But first off, there's the fucking lumpy sick wizard who goes in D tier because he's just nothing. He vomits out toxic sludge at you. That's it. This dude has seen better days. Master of Blindness. Master of Blindness gets... Oh, I really want to put him low on the list. And I will. D tier. Reason being, you can spawn in fungal caverns, and 20 seconds of blindness is insanely bad. Like, seriously, holy shit, you get hit with this, there's a good chance you just straight up die because you can't see where you're going. Next on the list. Master of Teleporting. I also don't like this dude. I only don't like this dude, though, because he can telefrag you, in a way. Like, there's no true telefragging in this game. But he's the closest you can get to it. He teleports right next to you, and he'll teleport you somewhere else, and he can softlock you. Cold Pits has many regions where if you get into it, you can be locked in unless you have a digging tool, and there's a chance that you just don't. So yeah, the fact he can softlock you is very annoying. And mostly it's because he spawns in fungal caverns. But unlike the other enemies that spawn in fungal caverns, he's got the tendency to leave the fungal caverns because he just teleports everywhere. Don't like him. Master of Polymorph. He goes in B tier. He is probably one of the most ungodly annoying enemies, but the fact that he gives you the immunity to the thing he's the master of makes it all worth it. Like, yeah, he can kill your god run, but he can also save your god run at the same time. The duality of this one enemy. Very, very interesting. He does lose points because of how annoying he is, though. Like, one shot if you don't have polymorph immunity, and bam, you're most likely just dead. Has the tendency to pursue you if you are a sheep as well. So yeah, screw this guy, but he's a cool enemy. Master of Returning. I like this dude, but you gotta admit he's an F tier because he doesn't do anything. This guy does no damage. He has literally no ways to kill anyone aside from with their own projectiles. And I've died to him before by my own projectiles because I have like, oh yeah, a spark bolt with trigger plus nuke. And you shoot him and the spark bolt hits him and he swaps places with you and then the nuke goes off and hits you in the face and you die. But yeah, he's a goober of an enemy. Pretty harmless. Yeah. Also, his AI is programmed to attack pretty much everything. Just swap places with things randomly. He's funny. He's fun. Master of Grounding goes in F tier. Almost at the bottom of F tier. He's probably my most hated enemies of the game. He shoots you and he makes your projectiles fizzle, which is not good, which means that you need a specific wand if you want to try and kill this dude. If you plan on eventually getting hit on him, which you obviously don't, but still. He sucks ass. I don't like him. Nobody likes him. Get him out of here. Master of Returning? Master of Returning is very interesting as well. Because he goes in, you know what, he goes in A tier actually. Master of Returning shoots like ice balls at you, but he will return whatever projectiles he is hit by at you through recasting them. This is specifically useful if you have any healing spell. Like, if you cast a healing bolt at him, then he'll be like, oh, you want healing bolts, right? and then he'll shoot you with them until you're full health. Actually, he won't stop, but still. Very useful enemy when it comes to, you know, recovery. Also not dangerous to really fight against because he doesn't copy modifiers, so if you have like a triple damage boosted triplicate bolt or something like that, which does like 60 damage per shot, I'm just randomly making up numbers, he will respond with one single little triplicate bolt shot, like 1/3 the power of a normal triplicate bolt basically, so you can control how powerful he is while fighting him. Just be careful. I forget the name of this dude, but I just call him Heart Mage because that's what he's used for. He's the Heart Mage. He is used to halve your health, and then you pick up a full health power-up, and you gain more health. This is the way that people have like 100,000 to 10 million fucking health every run with their god runs. Especially in combination with Master of Returning, casting his spells a lot faster. So yeah, he goes in S tier. He's the reason why a good Snowy Depths run ends with you having like 2,000 HP. Enter Hisi base with 2,000 HP and you're basically immortal. This is the Gravity Mage. Quite frankly, his shots is just personal gravity field. He's kind of boring. Doesn't really do anything interesting. But he's not egregious in anything. He's probably the most fair of the masters. Like, not good, not bad, just there. Master of Nullifying? He goes in A tier as well. Master of Nullifying is an interesting enemy because by himself, he is not dangerous. Alright? His shots remove all of your resistances, like, and perks. So, if you're immune to fire and your wand shoots fire everywhere, well, now you're a danger to yourself. Especially like immunity to explosions and lightning and that sort of jazz. And there's a trick you can do with this dude with like, what is it, Cessation and starting New Game Plus, where you can make it so that you are immune to the damage increase that you suffer when entering New Game Plus. Yeah, also you can make yourself immune to damage entirely through certain tricks. I recommend looking it up on the wiki. But yeah, he's a rather cool dude. He's got a nice mask though. I mean, two, not no. Twitchy Mage. Twitchy Mage is also C tier. He's got so many things going for him, but none of them are particularly interesting. His shots make you twitchy, which means you fire your wand randomly, and it can damage you. Could, in theory, be useful if you had, like, healing wands and you don't have a way to return them to you. Like, Deadly Heal or something like that. If you eat his corpse, you gain a speed buff for a while, which is kind of interesting. Not really. He's just kind of there. He spawns in the jungle. He's not anyone's favorite enemy. So yeah. Gotta give him props, though. Next is the Enlightened Alchemist, I believe. It's the one with the big, long, tentacle tongue. These ones shoot, like, fireballs at you. Or, like, concentrated light bolts. Not concentrated light, pinpoint of light bolts. And some other one. They do Path of Dark Flame? I don't remember. They're fine. I do like their design, I guess. Kind of interesting. You know what, they have variety to them even in the model, so they can go B tier. This is a Damned Alchemist. Damned Alchemist would be higher, because it's pretty interesting. They give immunity to all enemies around them. The biggest issue I have with this enemy is if you have two of them next to each other, they will both give immunity to each other, and therefore, like... Okay, not all of the Damned Alchemists have this ability, but most do. And they can make it so that they can just not take damage from anything together. Very annoying. Yeah. Otherwise, they'd be very good. And this is the one that explodes into, like, Path of Dark Flame when it dies. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen this guy finish an attack. They just die too quickly. Next up are the creeps. There's 3 types. This one is the gravity creep. Gravity creep goes in D tier because it has no way of attacking you. Like, it just follows you around and you shoot it and it sucks in the bullets, and he does have damage resistance, but other than that, you can just kill him. No repercussion. I mean, like, none of the creeps actually have ways to attack you straight up. It's mostly riposte damage, but yeah. This one just can't attack back. Thunder Creep goes in F tier because Thunder Creep just turns whatever projectiles that you launch into it into reflected thunder. Meaning it is incredibly hard to kill this thing or get rid of it or affect it by anything in general. It just has an invincible lightning shield. And yeah, it also has high damage resistance, so even if you do get through it, hard to kill him. I will give the normal, like, light creep that shoots pinpoint of light in a riposting fashion C tier, because it is very fair. It's normal. Statue Man. Statue Man doesn't actually have a... Actually, no, he does have a log in the Noita enemy log. I've killed 94 of them somehow, despite the fact this guy is immune to, like, everything. But Statue Man goes in... Oh, is he gonna go in S or A? Is he gonna go in S or A? He is going in S tier. No, A tier. He's not interesting enough to be in S tier. But Statue Man is an amazing enemy. I love this dude. Obviously, he doesn't spawn naturally. He spawns as a statue and you get close to him and then he becomes alive. And he's immune to most damage types, so it's kind of hard to kill him. Best way to kill him is with a tablet. But Statue Man is incredible because he is aggressive to a lot of things. He is fucking feral. And if you can lure the High Alchemist over to him, or him over to the High Alchemist, he can just kind of solo High Alchemist. Like, with no issues. High Alchemist does not have a way to kill him. So if you ever feel like well, if you can ever dig through the, it's not called Twisty Passages anyway, it's called the Alchemy Lab, Forgotten Laboratory, whatever it's called, and you can bring a Statue Man to High Alchemist, then do it. It's a free kill. Stonehead, these spawn in the Magical Temple. C tier. They're kind of boring, but there's nothing egregious about them. These are the, this is the ghost spawning enemy, and it's going in F tier because, first of all, spawning ghost enemies is very annoying. Like, it spawns enemies that you cannot literally kill. You have to kill this thing first, and it doesn't exactly tell you where it is. I don't think it shows up on the enemy radar. It is not coded as an enemy exactly, so homing does not work on it. And yeah, it bleeds blue sand, and it bleeds a lot of it, so if you're trying to kill this with like a luminous drill or something like that, first of all, it has a bunch of HP, so it's going to take a while, and second off, it bleeds the sand which blocks the shots if you are not using like literally luminous drill. Like, if you're using, I don't know, a death cloud, and it'll, like, push it off, mostly. This guy sucks. And this one's the healing crystal. It sucks as well, but it's nowhere near as egregious, because it doesn't actually, like, really do anything, it just heals things. So it's fine. This is also kind of like that, except it's much better, the shadowy thing. This obviously includes the crystal as well. So, yep. It is a shadowy creature that can die on its own. You can kill this thing without destroying the crystal, it just takes a while, and you need a specific damage type, like black hole damage type from a Giga Black Hole, or Earthquake. Collapsed concrete damage is counted as like Earthquake damage, and therefore can kill this dude. So yeah, he's cool. Taxeva or Taxwava, however you want to say it, it's B tier because it's a wand. You get the wand when you kill it. It's interesting. Usually it's just a bunch of garbage, but hey, could be useful. This dude. This dude also kind of sucks. Yeah, if you've never seen this enemy before, he spawns in the snowy chasm somewhere. And you need to be holding the Paha Silma, aka the Evil Eye, to actually see the guy, and to damage him. So, annoying to fight, annoying to kill, annoying to even see. He's just dumpster tier. Also just doesn't drop anything other than gold, so meh. And does curse damage. So, yep. Cometus goes in S tier. Cometus is obviously an amazing mechanic in this game. That being, it's the ghost of one of your previous runs, which has a wand that you had. And you can get the wand by killing it. And if you know you're going to die, you can rig your wands so that you can specifically spawn Cometus with one of them eventually. And you can make it so that Cometus dies to it. Like, you get your Super God Wand, and you edit it so that the first thing on your wand is a, like, Omega Sawblade or something like that. And Cometus kills himself and drops you the wand, and you just need to edit that Sawblade off, and you win. It's cool. These dudes are alright. You know what? This one can go in B tier. I do like this one's pattern. This is the one that it shoots it out and then it leaves a spiral of bullets. And this one is just like a pulsing 8-way cardinal thing. Or was it 6-way? I can't tell. It's probably 6 looking at the eyes of this guy. But yeah, they're cool. Polymorph Man. I fucking hate this dude. He goes in D tier. He spawns much earlier than most other polymorphing enemies. He spawns in the snowy depths, for God's sakes. Rarely, but he does. And he bleeds bone dust, which is kind of annoying. His corpse is not interesting in any way. And obviously his shots have homing. So yeah, don't like him. Nothing personal, just that he sucks. Hellgazer. This is the classic Hellgazer. It's C tier. It's just a dude that shoots bullets of... It's basically the slime ball dudes, except he shoots lava. Lava is a lot less deadly, considering that lava just does less damage. And you can get rid of lava by freezing it. Turn it to rock or something like that. Yeah, he's fine. Does drop a lot of gold, but then again, most enemies in Hell do. Skygazer goes in F tier though. Skygazer is the one reason why you don't want to go to the work in the sky, because it shoots bullets that are polymorphine, and it bleeds chaotic polymorphine. So it's a double whammy of garbage and shit tier enemy. Like, anything that has polymorphine is instantly dropping a few tiers. This is a hell... This is just another hell enemy. I don't even know what this thing does. It shoots out a boring bullet. It's boring, but it's not egregiously bad. I don't even remember what either of these crystals do, so these are all going in C tier. I can't tell the difference between them, quite frankly. I know this one spawns in the sky, this one spawns in hell, this one spawns in the Temple of the Art. But that's it. They're physics objects. You can break them and kill them with black holes. Yeah. Right, next up. We're almost at the bosses. So we have Mimics. Spell Mimic is not on this list, but Spell Mimic would go in F tier. Don't worry about it. I'll explain later. So, Normal Mimic. Normal Mimic is kind of interesting. You can easily see what it is, because it doesn't have physics or anything like that. It's just an enemy. Goes in C tier. You know what? Actually, no. It goes in B tier. You gotta have a good Mimic. You can spray it with polymorphine... No, not polymorphine. Pheromone. And it will shoot gold nuggets at you, which is pretty cool. But other than that, it doesn't do anything particularly interesting. It's just a Mimic. It tries to eat you. Leggy Mimic. Leggy Mimic is a piece of shit, but I have to give it B tier as well, because it's a Mimic. It has legs though, and it drops the Leggy Mutation perk, which is one of the worst perks in the game. Much like Lucky Mutation, it may be free, but you still probably don't want to take it. Absolute trash. For notes on that, check my all perks ranked list. And this is a stand-in. I don't know why this list has 2 of this shadowy thing. This is a stand-in for all the enemies in the Meat Realm. All of them. And I'm gonna give them C tier because they aren't particularly interesting. And there's like no real reason to go to the meat realms, ever. Yeah, that's about it. That includes Hell or Meat Shotgunner, Meat Sniper, Meat Dynamiter, the Meatball Boss. Not Tiny though, Tiny actually has his own space on this list. Heart Mimic. Heart Mimic is F tier because it just never spawns. That's it. It takes up a logbook spot, and yeah, I lost my mind trying to find this to complete my logbook. My logbook says it's 100% complete, but I'm missing Christmas EC, but that doesn't matter because I still have the achievement on Steam. And Spell Mimic would be right next to it because it's also very rare. In fact, it's a bit rarer. Steve! You gotta love Steve. Steve goes in A tier because he is the reason why you don't break the Holy Mountain immediately unless you have a way to deal with Steve. Sure, you can like kick a statue at him or freeze him. But yeah, Steve. It's not even really Steve you're worried about, it's about Scott who spawns later. But Steve himself can be pretty dangerous. I don't think I need to talk about Steve, everyone knows who he is. Scott can go in B tier. He's also fairly cool. The only downside with Scott is that there's a good chance he just doesn't spawn in your runs. Because you need to break 3 Holy Mountains. No, you don't need to break 3 Holy Mountains. You need to kill 3 Steves. You don't have to even kill Steve. You can just like dig out of the Holy Mountain again and again and again. And yeah, Steve can't follow you sometimes. Anyways, Scott goes in B. Alright, and we are on to bosses. Oh, also, this is not an enemy. This is a thing that Call Me Silver summons. Actually, can I replace that with something? You know what, I can. Place it, just there for now. The dragon! The dragon spawns in the jungle, spawns on the right, and it drops a very powerful wand, usually, potentially, sometimes, always, never. And it drops a Larpa type spell. Oh, not a Larpa spell. It drops an Orbit spell, which sometimes is Orbit Larpa, so I'm half right. The dragon goes in A tier because... Right, what I was saying... Dragon goes in A tier because dragon is much usually, it's usually worth it to kill the dragon. Go use a luminous drill or a chainsaw or anything that attacks very rapidly. Dragon has kind of low resistances to those. You can just kind of murder him if you hit him fast enough. He's only dangerous if he approaches you head on. Quite literally, like the bite is the only dangerous part. So yeah, just kill the dragon, get a good spell. It drops a HP up as well if you care about that. Can be very useful since heart mages also spawn in the jungle. This is Call Me Silma's Legs, I believe it's the name of this boss. It spawns in the temple. No, not the temple, the pyramid. This guy is C tier. Actually, what is he B tier? You know what, he's C tier just because he doesn't drop anything good. Like, he drops the chaos spells, like the random spell things. Which aren't that great, really. But, yeah. Also, he drops a pretty low power wand. And has a lot of invincibility time up. Sometimes, like, a lot of this fight is just waiting for him to reveal himself so you can actually shoot at him. So yeah, he's not the greatest boss. High Alchemist. High Alchemist goes in B tier. He's a good boss, he drops good things, drops the crystal key, the Greek letters, and he's interesting enough to fight. He's not incredibly dangerous, but he's also not a pushover either. I mean, Statue Man solos him, but that's just Statue Man. Dark Alchemist, which spawns in Parallel Worlds, goes in C tier though, because he's just nothing. He also doesn't drop anything but gold. He's exactly the same as normal High Alchemist, except he's just a normal enemy now. This is the Forgotten. The Forgotten is an enemy that spawns, like, almost at the bottom of the lake, just to the right of that. In the Snowy Depths. Not Snowy Depths, the Snowy Chasm. You cannot see this boss or damage him unless you have Paha Silma, the Evil Eye item. And what he does is he drops the what will become the Sunstone, so he's needed for the Sun and Moon quests. But other than that, he just doesn't drop anything interesting. I mean, well, actually, he does drop a full heal. Which I guess could be important if you... Actually, you can just go to a parallel world and grab one if you really care about that sort of thing. Because there's no way you're going to go through the entire snowy chasm and not dig through the extremely dense rock to get down there faster. He gets a D tier. He does have a bunch of resistances to many things, including projectiles, but explosions work, so just shoot a bunch of magic missiles at him and you'll be fine. And he's got his little eye things next to him as well, which... in reality, these are just projectiles. Nothing particularly dangerous. Sauvagen Tuntija, aka Squidward, aka Bridge Boss, aka the first boss that most people who play Noita are going to see because they go to the right of the lava lake. This guy is S tier. I hate this guy, but I do admit that he is amazing. So, what's the gimmick with him? Well, he shoots back your own spells and wands against you. He can polymorph you, he can fizzle you, he can teleport you, he can do a whole bunch of random shit. He regularly shoots magic missiles that can easily OTK you unless you have over 200 health. Kind of a pain in the ass too. But he does drop a tier 5 and tier 6 wands. The tier 5 one guaranteed to be a non-shuffler, tier 6 could be a non-shuffler. And you get the max HP up from the orb room, although you'll not necessarily need to spawn him in order to get that. Now, one of the things I like to do in my runs is to find a plasma beam, because this guy is incredibly weak to plasma beams due to his mechanics of returning spells, and using that to kill him early on in a run so you can gain God Wands. It is the second best way to gain a God Wand early in the run, the best of course being to enter the tower early by digging into it. But yeah, call me Silma. He's got a lot going for him. Next up is Call Me Silma Silma. Wait, why did I say this guy was Call Me Silma? No, Sauvagen Tuntija. This is Call Me Silma Silma, aka Three Eyes Eye. Ironic name. He goes in D tier. I would put him in F tier because he's another one of those power plant bosses that has a million resistances to everything. And too much HP for all those resistances. But he drops Spatial Awareness, which is a really good perk to have, so you can see where you are in this world. You can see where Taveri is. You can see a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of good. I think the best way to kill this guy is just lob an Omega Saw Blade at him. And, like, just teleport around him until he's dead. Next up, Leviathan. The Leviathan spawns in the lake. And, quite frankly, he sucks. I wish I could have timed that music better. But, yeah. Leviathan sucks because he has resistances to pretty much everything. And the only real weakness he has is poison. Like, Poison Trail, specifically, you can poison him with. Like, let's pull up the wiki for a bit. So, Leviathan here, 7,500 HP, yeah, a lot. And look at all those resistances. Immunities to Venomous Curse, Burning, Freezing, Glue, which doesn't matter, Resurrection, which also doesn't matter, Physics Damage, Polymorphine, Projectile Damage, Stunned by Electricity, Can't Suffocate, Immune to any touch of spells, 0 damage from Projectile, Fire, Electricity, Ice, Toxic, Drill. It takes 1% damage from Explosion, Melee, and Slice. The only damage it doesn't take a lot from, or it doesn't have any resistance to, is Holy. You know how many spells deal holy damage? Like, fucking none. As it says in the wiki, you gotta use, like, Giga Black Holes, or, like, Collapsed Concrete from Earthquake, or Holy Lance. And even then, that's 7,500 HP you need to go to. This enemy fucking sucks, and he doesn't even drop anything good. He drops a Great Treasure Chest. And that's basically the only thing that's worth it. If you wanted Great Treasure Chests, just cast End of Everything with Cessation. Tiny, aka Slime Maggot, he goes in A tier. He is the biggest worm enemy in the game, and he drops a tier 10 wand. A tier 10 wand is only possible to be spawned by him in this game, meaning that he has the potential to drop the most powerful wand you will ever see in your run, or even maybe in your entirety of playing Noita. Tier 10 wands have ridiculously high stats, that's why they don't naturally spawn in the game. So, what do you need to kill him? Well, he also has a bunch of resistances like all the other bosses that are down this low. However, a Mega Saw Blade can easily kill him in 1 or 2 hits. Like, it is funny how fast he dies despite how huge it is. He does bleed ominous liquid, so be careful about that, but he is a super boss. And he spawns in the meat realm, the rightmost meat realm. So, unless you killed the meatball, which you will want to kill if you do that, you cannot regenerate health. Killing meatball kills this forever, though. This is Dark Squidward. Dark Squidward spawns in parallel worlds in place of Squidward. And quite frankly, he's F tier. Because unlike Squidward, he drops nothing but gold. And random Squidwards is the easiest way to lose a god run because of polymorph shots. Kind of funny how this guy is in S tier and this guy is in F tier despite being basically the same guy. But it's just the circumstances of spawning and whatnot. This is Gate Boss. This one spawns to the right of the Temple of the Art, and you need to throw 3 eggs at it of some sort to open it, and then fight the boss. They're physics objects. You can kill them with black holes. Though I think they have a projectile repulsion field to protect them from that, but yeah, they're kind of interesting. They go in C tier just because they are, like, they don't have any way to damage you other than, like, contact area damage. But they do each drop a random spell you've unlocked, and that could be anything. It could even be Sea of Swamp, which can be useful when you're fighting Mysterian Masteri, aka Master of Masters. He has a cool gimmick. The only thing I don't like him is the random status effects he throws at you through the fight. He is not immune to drowning, so you can just use, like, Sea of something on him, like Sea of Oil works well. Sea of Swamp specifically gives you wand homing. And he drops a whole bunch of really good shit, so I will say he's A tier. Also, he does return damage, so you just gotta be careful a bit when fighting him. Call me Silma, the big guy himself, the final boss of the base game. What do we say about Call me Silma? He's alright. Yeah, that's just it. He's middle of the road. As enemies go in Noita, he's just not that special. Like, if you haven't collected any orbs, he goes down like a sack of hammers. If you have collected orbs, he's a bit more interesting, but that's kind of relying on doing outside things and things you wouldn't actually do in a run to fight him. Like, you're supposed to fight him maybe in a 33 orb run, but, like, you just kill him first. You can kill him when you have literally 0 orbs in a new world, in New Game Plus, and then grab the Sampo, and then get all the other orbs. So yeah, he's... I mean, I guess he's there for people who don't want to actually explore the world and just want to finish the game. He's a bit easier. But yeah, sorry, call me. This is Horror Monster. Horror Monster just doesn't do anything. It's not meant to do anything, though. So he goes in D. Taveri, however, is the one that does things, and Taveri can go also in B tier. Taveri, the main thing you actually just want to do with Taveri is take him into the tower, so you can get, what does he unlock? He unlocks Giga Holy Bomb. He's pretty interesting. He's just a little goofball. This is not an enemy, it doesn't have a logbook entry. So, the only enemies left are certain things that spawn in the meat realm, Potion Mimic and Kivi. You know what, you can be in place of Kivi. Kivi goes in B tier. Kivi is an interesting boss. Obviously, you're supposed to use Cessation to kill him because he does return damage, and that return damage can't hit you if you are not there. That's why Cessation, like, he's the end of the Cessation quest line, basically. The only problem is he kind of doesn't drop anything but gold. Like, Kivi, however, does have the chance to drop the highest amount of gold as anything in the world, because he has the highest potential max HP, that being your HP. So if you have, like, 2 million HP, he's going to drop the gold value of an enemy that has 2 million HP. Obviously. Also, he spawns 3 Cometus upon death, which can drop you some pretty powerful ones, but if you can kill Kivi, you probably don't need those anyway. And this is Potion Mimic. Potion Mimic goes in C tier because it can drop Sea of Mimicium. That's about it. Yeah. Alright. Well, I hope you enjoyed this list. This one went on for much longer than I thought it would, because I didn't expect to do this in 2 sittings. And over 2 weeks, basically. So, I hope you enjoyed this list. Write a comment if you have any opinions on things that I didn't go over. Maybe you know of a feature of an enemy that I didn't discuss. Regardless, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, goodbye.